Hi! In this video I want to introduce the Baby&Me Belk-S hip seat and carrier. Hip seats are quite popular lately, and yeah, I got this one because I found this is one of the interesting models. As a certified baby wearing consultant, I see hip seats as a carrying aid for older children, children you would usually not carry in a carrier anymore, who walk by themselves but get tired and from time to time they need a break, and you can sit them on the seat. What I do not recommend is using hip seats for smaller babies or even newborns, because they can't support a baby in a way that's needed and that other carriers can do. Okay, so to show you what I mean, I am showing you with a small doll before starting the actual review. For a newborn, we usually want to create a seat where the bottom is lower than the knees. So a hip seat can only create a wide seat, but not actually lift the knees. If we lift the knees, the hip will tilt it in a direction we do not want to have and drive the baby away from our body. However, we want to have our baby close to our body to prevent it from slumping. Slumping can restrict the airways, and that's not safe for the baby. Also, the hip seat has a given width, and if your baby is still very small, you find it difficult to spread the legs in a way that they go down the sides of this carrier. Some of these hip seat carriers offer an infant insert, but here too the good position is often not given, and I really do not recommend this. So we use the hip seat for older babies, and I will use my toddler doll for this review video. Okay, the Baby&Me. The Baby&Me hip seat is closed with Velcro, like most of the other hip seats too. It comes with an extra security buckle. Even if the Velcro opens, then you still have the security buckle. And using a Velcro buckle, it really is important to make it fit very snug to your body. When the weight of your baby comes onto the seat will be pulled downwards, and this gives a lot of pressure on your back here, so you will really feel the weight of your baby. What works better than this front position is actually the hip position, because here, if you're a woman especially, your hip bone will stop the seat from going too much down and will give extra support for your baby. What's different with this Baby&Me carrier, I always thought that hip seats have a pocket inside the seat where you can store things. However, the Baby&Me doesn't have any storage inside the seat. So if you want to store something, you have a small pocket here on the side, but it's really only for a small phone or keys and maybe tissues, but nothing more. Okay. So here we have my toddler doll, And of course you can carry your baby in this position, and even with the doll, which is not as heavy as a real toddler, I already feel the pressure on my back, and I will go in a position to balance the weight. So usually we want a straight posture with our baby in the carrier. However, the weight that pulls me forwards, let me go in a hollow bag to balance this. It's a little bit better if I have my child on the hip. The hip seats are also designed for forward facing carrying. This goes actually better in this position because the back of your baby, what else, pull into your side, and that's not very comfortable for you. However, of course, the pull forward is still there. For an older baby, it's not so important anymore that the knees are higher than the bottom. You would also not place a baby on the table, a toddler on the table, in a hammock to achieve this seat. You would place your toddler on a chair, and the hip seat is just like a chair. So make sure that your toddler isn't on the seat for a very long time, like 1 hour or 2 hours, because else maybe the bottom will start to hurt. What you also can already see is that the hip seat is no hands-free option. You always have to make sure that you are holding your baby. So you only have one hand free, and it happens actually quite often that in a situation, an unexpected situation with stress coming to the caregiver, they automatically use both hands. So there is a higher falling risk. I can tell you one story. A friend of mine who had a stroller with her wanted to enter the elevator, and here in Japan it's common that the people standing around are helping by pushing a button, the door will stay open. There was a woman around with this hip seat and a smaller baby, like 5 or 6 months, and while she wanted to help my friend to enter the elevator by pushing the button, she let go of her baby and the baby fell, and she was she only could grab the baby shortly before it fell onto the floor by gripping the leg. Yeah, so this is really something you should have in mind. It's not a completely safe option. The Baby&Me is not only a hip seat, it actually can more. That's why I chose this one. So here you see that it has a panel you can attach to the seat. We have a zipper, close this, and we have security Velcro. And now you can use this hip seat also like a carrier. This gives you the freedom to use your hands, both hands, so your baby will not fall. However, we have still the seat position, so I would not recommend it for smaller babies and also not for a longer time. But if you need the same carrier, the hip seat, and something else to have hands-free, then this can be an option. However, you always have to make sure that the back panel is not pushing your baby in a hollow bag, and this sometimes happens when the baby is still too small or the carrier is not fitting very well. And the Baby&Me, of course, also promotes this for forward facing. So the problem with forward facing actually is that the baby can become overstimulated, and especially if you are not looking at your baby all the time, you might not be able to fetch the signs for overstimulation. So for example, if you're with a friend or so and talking to your friend or partner, you will probably not look at your baby looking for the cues of overstimulation. So I only recommend it, I never recommend forward facing per se, but I say if you want to do forward facing, then either make sure you really look at your baby all the time, communicate with your baby looking for the cues, or only do it for a short period of time. So if you are using the carrier like this forward facing and this panel, you will probably use it longer, for a longer period of time, and not the short time. Yeah, it's easier to have your baby like this and don't realize how much time already has passed. Yeah, scientists aren't sure yet what is good, because it's different for all the babies. Some recommend only 15 minutes in this forward facing position, some go up to 30. It really depends on your baby. So some babies become overstimulated very fast and others not. What category your baby is, you know the best. When doing forward facing like this, you have to make sure that this edge is not cutting into the throat of your baby and is not covering the mouth or face of your baby. If this happens, covering of mouth or nose, the carrier is not fitting your baby and your baby is too small, and you should not do it. Also, never do forward facing when your baby is sleepy, then turn your baby around. What you can see here is that your baby is sitting on the seat. So even though the legs are dangling down, there's no narrow seat cutting into the groins of your baby. So it is more comfortable than a narrow-based carrier. You can try it out, how it feels for you. If you're sitting on the edge of a chair, a high chair in the bar, what it feels like when your legs are dangling and you can't put your feet on something. So you will probably see that it's quite uncomfortable if you have to do that for a longer time, and take this into consideration when having your baby in a carrier forward facing with dangling legs and not the bottom higher than the knees and the knees supported by fabric. Okay, what else can this carrier do? I chose the Belk-S over the normal Belko for one more reason. Even though this is an older model, the newer model is quite similar. have to remove this again. This too. And now we have another waist belt where you can attach this panel. So again, the zipper on this panel and the security Velcro. These here snaps into here, and we have a carrier that's almost looking like all the other carriers outside there. So you can also use this carrier as a normal carrier like the Ergo Baby Original, for example, and you do not have to rely on the hip seat. This waist belt only clothes with the buckle, and it also has the security loop, which you should use. I find that this Baby&Me carrier, gives a little bit the feeling of a cheaper produced carrier. So the webbing is not very soft, and the plastic feels not so sturdy like other carriers, but it's certified by the Japanese SG mark, so it's holding baby's weight, it is tested for safety, and it should be okay. However, I still would advise to use the safety loop. Okay, putting in the toddler doll. And here it's like with every other carrier, it needs to fit your body or else it will feel uncomfortable. For me, this feels quite comfortable actually. The waistband isn't too thickly padded. It embraces my waist very well. What you can see here is that the padding of the shoulder straps is not fully lying on my shoulders, so there's more pressure on the inner side, on the muscles of the inner side, and this will probably result with a heavier child in neck pain. So if I would use this with a child over 10 kilo, probably after 1 hour or so I would have pain in my neck area. But else, for a toddler, it's fitting quite well. Okay, but of course there's another option. And here I have the problem that the model I have is a little bit different from the modern version, and it's the fitting for smaller babies, because this option with the additional waist belt, of course, was done in mind with being able to put smaller babies in this carrier too, where the hip seat will still be not making a good fit. So we have a zipper here and also a zipper on the other side. I wouldn't have to need to unbuckle this. So with the newer version, you can store this somewhere away, like here, something like this. Maybe it's this pocket here in the middle, where you should put this into. Something like this, I guess. So I am a baby wearing consultant from Germany, and in Germany we have steplessly adjustable seats almost all the time, so we can really choose the width we need for our baby in every developmental stage. I know that in other countries it's common that you just flip this in to make it a newborn carrier. I wasn't able to try this with a real baby yet, so I really can't say how it will fit a real baby, but yeah, I'm always a little bit like, yeah, is it really fitting the baby well? So the knees are supported, the legs are supported under the knees, because for newborns a good fit really is important. As older the baby grows, especially from 5 to 6 months onwards, the perfect fit is not so important anymore, but for the newborn it really is important for the hip development, and also for the position, that it is safe in the carrier. So I would always like to have a good fit for the newborn and not so much for the older baby. Now I have put my smaller doll into this. So we really can make this narrow here, and probably also fit a smaller baby into the seat. But yeah, I'm not so sure if the knees are really supported in a way they need to be, so the knees come higher than the bottom. I would always try to check it with a real baby, for example by booking a consultation with this carrier, or going with your baby into a shop where you can try this on. So many big department stores have this carrier and you can try it. You can also pull this a little bit out to make it bigger when you need it, and your baby is also supported. In case you need to support the head a little bit more, this carrier also comes with head support. I'm not such a big fan. This is only a cover to prevent the carrier to get dirty. I'm not such a big fan of pulling this up, because depending on the season, it can restrict the airways a little bit, and it also gives the parents a false illusion of neck support. So you want your baby resting on your chest and nestled on your body, and if using this, the chance is quite high that your baby's head is actually falling backwards and your baby is not in the curled position you want, and maybe even looser than it's good. So I always like to have the baby staying on your chest and then having something in the neck area that holds the head in place. Or you can either put this up over the back of your baby's neck, back of your baby's head, so that the airways are free here. Or you can also roll it up a little bit and then twist it around here to support the neck of your baby a little bit more. Yeah, I really find the idea behind this carrier interesting, because with this waistband you have the chance to carry a smaller baby too. That's still not good for the hip seat, and then later change to the hip seat, and depending on the situation, if you put the panel on, you can even make the hip seat hands-free. Yeah, but still have in mind that the hip seat is not like a normal carrier. It is meant for short periods of time. It's like sitting on a chair and having a very small child sitting on a chair for a long time. Yeah, you will see that children do not like that very much. Yeah, even many older people don't like to sit on a chair for such a long time, because something starts to feel not so nice, not so comfortable, and you want to move. Yeah, and children do feel the same. So if using a hip seat or a carrier like this, make sure to make breaks, let your baby walk a little bit, and then your baby can rest on the hip seat and later walk again. Yeah, I hope you liked this review, and yeah, if you have questions, you can mail me anytime. Bye.